How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Oh man, Shoo. Can you see that view in the background? It's a little overcast today, but the sea is just so peaceful, you know. I mean, I had to say that before I start, you know. So, welcome. How you guys doing today? It's Wednesday here in Anguilla, but when you're viewing this video, it'll be Friday for you. Welcome back to my channel, and I just want to admonish you guys to hit that subscribe button. I realize a lot of you guys are viewing the videos, enjoying the videos, enjoying the content, but not subscribing to the channel. You know, it helps me. So please take the time off to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you can know when I post content. And if you like the content, then give it a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up. You know, it helps. So here we are in beautiful Anguilla. I know some of you guys might be wondering, where am I? You know, I'm here in beautiful Anguilla, and I figure, you know, I came on the beach today because I wanted to kind of wash my hair out. Every time I'm ready to wash my hair, I go to the beach. Well, most of the time, I go to the beach because it kind of cleans it out. And then when I go home, I give it a little bit of shampoo. So I figured, you know, my hair was stinking a little bit, you know. Yeah, I was being a little nasty, but yeah, so I figured, you know, let me come to the beach, wash my hair out. And the one day I decided to come to the beach is the one day it's kind of overcast, but I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna let that stop me, you know. So I rode my bike here today, and while I was there, I was just like, you know, maybe I should do my video from here this week, you know, because it's cool and calm and nice, and I hope I don't have too much wind noise in the background. So there we go. Maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So part 6, part 6, moving to Anguilla. Wow. So I think this is where my story is gonna start getting really, really interesting, and it's so much to the story. You know, it's so much to the story. I don't even know where to start, but I'm gonna start somewhere, and we're gonna end up somewhere at some point. So I came to Anguilla, I think it was November 2009. November 2009, I think it was November 2nd, if I remember correctly. So like I told you guys, I worked on the cruise ship for a while, and I had medical leave because I had kidney stones. So I did some surgery I had a lot of kidney stones. Interestingly enough, they were not painful, but the ones I have were they're kind of like parasitic in nature, where they would stay in the kidneys for a while and grow, but you would have no side effects. And when we do have side effects, then you have to get them out. So that's the ones I had. And I have this strange kidney, which most people don't have. So I have a overlarge heart, like an athlete heart, not an abnormal heart, but my heart is just very big. It pumps a lot. And my kidneys, as opposed to one prong, it has 2 prongs. So mine is a little bit more complicated than most people. I think there's 10% of the population with those kind of body parts, and I'm just one of them. I guess I'm just special. So it took about 5 surgeries to get rid of, I think, all of the stones. I have to go back. I go back and check every year in Barbados. I didn't do that last year because of COVID. I probably won't do that this year. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. But I think I'm okay. So I left the ship on medical leave, but at the same time, remember I told you guys that the ships were kind of doing like I guess I want to call it sort of like a reform, where they were cutting back the bands and they were doing just 2 members. So as a drummer, it's kind of hard, you know, like how do you do drum and another instrument on ship? So it kind of left me in in a tight spot, really. So I decided, you know what, let me see what I can do. Let me venture out and see, you know, there's another place in the Caribbean that I can go and do music. And I had a cousin in Anguilla, and big up to my boy Macfer, shy guy from St. Martin. I hope he's viewing this video. You know, I came up by him in St. Martin. I stayed there for 2 weeks, and then I decided, you know what, let me go over to Anguilla to figure out, you know, if Anguilla is the place, you know, because my cousin used to rave so much about Anguilla. Bro, you gotta come to Anguilla. You gotta come to Anguilla. That's my cousin O'Malley. So he's like, bro, come to Anguilla, man. Come check it out. So I came to Anguilla on the 2nd of November. And I felt from the get-go that the powers didn't want me here for some reason. I felt like I was destined to be here for something, and I'll tell you why. Because, interestingly enough, I came in, and I had a month return ticket, but for somehow the immigration officer gave me 8 days, and everybody's like, my boy Omar is like, what, 8 days? I was like, yeah, well, that's what they gave me. So I guess after 8 days, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, interestingly enough, and I like to watch events as they unfold in front of me, and I take notes, So I came in and I had the first challenge already. To me, that's a good sign. To most people, that's a sign for them to stop. For me, that's a sign to push forward, because I feel like if I'm getting resistance from the beginning, this is something good. If it wasn't something good, then you wouldn't be getting any resistance, because it's of no effect, and that's how negative energy, distract people sometimes, but I use negative energy to fuel my positive energy. And so I came in and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to make use of that 8 days that they gave me. So my good friend Natasha, lived in Anguilla, and she was like, well, it's jazz fest, so let's go to the jazz fest. So I was like, all right, cool, go to the jazz fest. So I went to the jazz fest, and interestingly enough, I met Mr. Foster Rogers, and we buddies even today. Most of the people I met in my first 8 days in Anguilla, we still cool today. And me and him, we kind of just clicked, And to make a long story short, the 8 days turned into 2 months, and I stayed for 2 months until January, when I had to go to Barbados to do another surgery for kidney stones. I stayed in Barbados for a month, and I came back to Anguilla, because something about Anguilla was just kind of really relaxing for me. I mean, taking that scenery at the back, although it's a bit overcast today. I mean, look at the blue waters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at the beach. Look at the white sand beach. Something about it was just so relaxing for me. Although I struggle when I start doing business. I struggle with the laid back attitude of the people. The island time. I struggle with that a lot. I still struggle with it. I have a meeting at 10 o'clock, and people show up at 10:30. And I'm a little pissed off because I feel like my time is valuable. But they're like, you lucky, bro. I show up at 10:30. Usually I'll show up at 11. That's the attitude. But after a while, you get used to it. But something about Anguilla was just, like I say, calming for me. And I had done a little bit of my craziness on ship and enjoy my life. And I was looking for somewhere to just basically chill. Somewhere I could just chill, start a family, maybe. Or just chill, and live my life until I feel like I was retired, and maybe it's time to go back home and retire or whatever, And that's how I looked at Anguilla, and I was like, you know what? I kind of really like this place, So, my cousin introduced me to this guy who was deep into the music business in Anguilla. I went to his house. He used to bring musicians in his house and practice and stuff like that. And they had a band that used to work at the Dunes, and I went there a couple of Sundays and hang out with the band and jam with the band a little bit. I didn't work with the band. I wasn't working illegal. I was just jamming with the band a little bit. I'm sticking to that. So, and then after I left, we started off a really cool friendship, me and this guy. And then I left for Barbados, and I came back. And when I came back, me and him had a conversation about, if there's a possibility of him figuring out something for me where I could stay in Anguilla. And we figured it out, with the help of other people. We figured it out. And I've been in Anguilla, ever since, And I jumped straight into the music business when I got into Anguilla. Again, with the help of this guy, I jumped straight into the music business. I started playing with that band. At the time, the name of the band was Concepts. It was Ruel Richardson, Curtis Robinson, and myself. And then things didn't work out. And Curtis left. And then Shakes, my boy Shakes, Jonathan Warrington, he joined the band. And we changed the name to British dependency, and that's how basically British dependency was formed. For some of you who are out there who know about British dependency, that's how it was formed, and that's the last I'm gonna go about calling names because I don't want to go offending anybody. So I'm gonna stick to saying this guy and that band because I don't want to get myself into any issues with anybody for calling any names because it's not carnival, you know. So, and like I said, you know, again, you know, I start to really get deep into the music business in Angola. You know, like I said, when I went to Ships, my drumming kind of really changed. You know, I started learning different styles of music. When I left Dominica, I could play mostly reggae and gospel style. You know, if gospel have a style, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, Joshua's going to be looking at this right now. He's going to be saying, yeah, that's why I tell you he's a reggae drummer. Oh, so I said I wasn't going to call no names. I'm sorry. I put it out already. Joshua's my boy. He's not going to feel no way. But anyway, but yeah, that was my main music I played for a while until I got to Ships. And then, you know, I started dabbling a little bit of jazz, a little bit of funk. And that's where that style of music really started to come into play, you know, in British dependency. And yeah, and man, it was a fun time, man. We worked. I feel like I can say that we really kicked off this whole gigging thing in Angola. And if I'm wrong, you know, Ruel and Devon and Shakes can correct me, or anybody else can correct me. But I feel like we really kicked off this whole gigging thing in Angola. You know, not saying that we started off. No, the people who were doing that before. My wife was doing this before. You know, big up to all the people who were doing that before. You know, Asha and all the people who were doing it before. Big up to them. But I felt like we really kind of put that up on a different level and really kind of restart. I mean, we played in every hotel that you can think of, almost every institution. I've literally played in almost every bar or hotel that you can think of, whether it was with British Dependency or True Intentions or some other band. Like, I played everywhere, you know, in Angola. And I feel like it's after British Dependency, the vibrancy of this whole, I call it the circuit, the music circuit in Angola kind of really kicked off. You know, everybody kind of, you know, got a wake-up call and be like, oh, those guys, oh, we can do this, you know? And again, I could be wrong for saying this. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected, but that's just my point of view. It's my story. I'm gonna say it how I see it, you know. But I felt like this. We really kicked. I mean, I remember we used to do like 2-3 gigs a day sometimes. Like why me on Ruel on a gig, or why me on Ruel and Shakes on a gig. You know, somebody else is setting up for us on another gig, or two of us doing one gig, and man, I'm telling you, it was like that, you know. And that's some really, really fun days, you know, playing with my boy Ruel, you know, which I think is one of the most talented guitar players that I've played with in this region. And again, it's just my opinion, and I can say the same thing for Shakes. I think he's one of the most talented bass players that I've played with, you know, in this region. And I miss my boy Shakes all the time, you know, for music, for Rius raps, for all kind of stuff that I'm doing. Shakes was always right in there. You know, Shakes is another guy like me that's very good with his hands. You know, Shakes can do woodwork, he can do mechanic, I'm sure he can do plumbing or something. Me and Shakes together, we'd figure something out. If we had to do something, we'd figure it out. And I miss my boy. Like seriously, like I really miss my boy. And like I say, I feel like, you know, we really kicked off this whole music circuit in Angola, and then after that, like, the bands just come out. They just come out, you check? And like I said, I did that for a while. I don't remember exactly how much years I did that for. But interestingly enough, I'm going to tell you a little story, and I'm going to break up. Living in Angola has to be broken up into parts because it's a lot. But I'm going to tell you a little story. I was always interested in musical engineering. I remember, like I told you guys in some parts back, we used to have this little sort of neighborhood radio station. Every Saturday we'd play music under the tree, and I'd be DJing. So I was always involved in music, you know. Half of my money that my dad gave me when I was going to school, you know, went into cassettes, you know, SATDK, you know, cassettes. And so I was always interested in music, but I always thought that it was drumming. But for some reason, there was always like this void that I was, like, I'm a drummer, but there was always this little void in me that felt like I wasn't fully complete drumming, just drumming. Because I drum, right now I drum, I sing. I haven't drummed for a while, but I can still drum. I sing, I write songs, I produce, I engineer, I do a whole bunch of stuff. But at that time, I was mainly known for just drumming, you know. And we went to New Jersey, Dave Bennett Studio, to do our first album as British Dependency. Great experience, hands down. We worked with Michael Carvin. Great experience, hands down. But when I came from New Jersey, I was looking at the pictures from that experience, and I realized to myself that me being there to as a drummer in the studio was never interested in the drums. I was always either sitting in front of the mixer board or standing at the back of the guys with my hand folded, looking at this big, huge mixer board that they had there. I'm sure it was like a 64 channel API or Neve or something that they had in there, because Dave Bennett Studio was like top of the line back in those days. I mean, I think that studio got shut down now. But when I came back and I saw these photos, you know, something hit me and I realized to myself that, wow, I'm really interested in this thing called production. I'm really interested in these knobs and these buttons and what are all these things doing? And I was like, all right, I should start dabbling into that a little bit. At that time, my brother lived in New York. My brother Darian lived in New York. And I was like, yo, bro, I feel like I want to start dabbling into music on a more production kind of, level. And he's like, all right, cool. Well, guess what? I'm in New York. I can get you a small studio system, you know, maybe like 2 speakers, you know, a computer, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's figure it out. How much money do you think I need? Anyhow, I racked up $2,000 with the help of my fiancée, my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife. She helped me out. We put some money together. We came up with $2,000. I sent it for my brother, and he bought me my first computer, my first MIDI controller, which I still have, my first pair of KRK Rocket 6s, which my boy Dennis still has, my first microphone, AKG, I think it was a 212 or 112 or something like that, which I still have, a Focusrite interface, which I still have. I never got rid of those stuff. I still have them in storage. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, you know, I started off. You know, me and my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we used to be on competition, seeing how much songs we can make in GarageBand. So at that time she was gigging, I was gigging at the time too. So if I went out for a gig, she would try to see if she could make a song before I came back. And if she went out for a gig and I didn't go out, I would try to see if I can make a song before she come back. And that's where my whole production thing, you know, started off. Really. And then I was like, my girlfriend at the time was building a house. And, you know, things got really serious. And I started helping with the construction of the house. And there was this room in the house that was supposed to be a garage. And I was like, this ain't gonna work. You're not into vehicles. I am. Because like I told you guys, it's something about vehicles, about cars was always very intriguing for me. That's why I started my new venture called Rius Raps. And check out my previous video if you haven't checked it out yet, about my new venture Rius Raps, which is going pretty good. So I was like, you know what? We always gonna be fighting over this garage. Let's turn this into like a band house, or like a practice room. And at that time, I'll be honest, I had realized that things with the other band wasn't going the way I wanted it to, and at some point I would have to, you know, go out on my own and do something different. So I was thinking ahead, and I was like, let's turn this into a practice room. It was nothing to do with studio at the time. Let's turn this into a practice room, and if anything doesn't work out with the band and I have to figure out a new band scenario, or I'm working with another band or whatever it is, then that'll just be a room that I can work from, you know, because like I said, I was always looking ahead, because I always knew that, you know, for some reason there was something in my gut that was like, I didn't feel quite at home with that band, and I felt like something different was out there for me. And that's how I started really dabbling into stuff. It started off by being a practice room that turned into a studio, because I realized to myself that, okay, there's no studios on island that can accommodate for live drums. And as a drummer, that's my thing. So I was like, wow, let me do this. Since I have a drum kit or two, and it took me a while before I told the band at the time that I was doing something like that, because I felt like that was something I wanted to do for myself. And I ended up telling Shakes about it, but I asked him to keep it on the down low because I wanted him to help me with some stuff. Because like I told you, Shakes was the kind of guy who was good at woodwork and good at a lot of stuff. So I told him I wanted to help me with some stuff. So Shakes was the only person I kind of really told about it in the band. And I was like, bro, keep this on the down low. I think he did. I think he did, or maybe not. I don't know. But at some point the band found out, and it was all right because we were kind of, on the verge of evolving anyway. So and that's how the YML Young Meters Lab Studio really come into play. Me just investing in myself, because at that time, again, like I said, there was this void in me. There's something in me that felt like, this is something I'm really, really interested in. It's something I want to do, and the passion was burning inside of me. And I named the studio, or the practice room at the time, YML, which is Young Meters Lab. And I'll tell you a little story about that before we break off. And then we'll take up in part 7 after Young Meters Lab, on the whole Young Meters Lab venture. My dad had a band back in the days, so I don't know if I told you in parts before. My dad is a musician. He plays the guitar. And he had a band before he was a Christian. He had a band called Young Meters Combo, and they were basically like a WCK. Maybe not so much, but more like a in those days they were like a WCK. Going and playing all over the island. And the name of the band was Young Meters Combo. So to kind of I'd say, how do you say this, man? To kind of prolong or reignite that life or that energy from my dad's band back in the day, I named the studio Young Meters Lab, and to me it was symbolic to me in that way, and it was also symbolic in a way that I felt like this is a place I wanted young people to meet, young people to come and hang out. Although it was at my house at the time, but I felt like this is a space I want young people to be in, so I call it the Young Meters Lab, YML Studios, and that's how I really got into this production, into the music business, like what I'm doing right now with the AMA Center and the AMA recording. And if you haven't checked out our website as yet, you should go over to www.theamacenter.org. Also www. I'll put it on the screen right here. AMArecordings.com, and check out our studio, check out our center. But that's where the flames got ignited. That's where it really started off. And then, like everything in life, it just started to evolve. And we'll get to where we are right now in some parts down the road. But this was part 6. It's just a small introduction of me moving into Anguilla and getting into the music business, which is what I've been doing for the past 11, 12 years since I'm here. So this has been part 6, and I hope the noise in the background is very soothing and calming for you, and it wasn't disturbing. Hopefully when we come to edit this video, everything is good. But I, like I say, I just wanted to do this from Rendezvous, Anguilla, one of my favorite beach here in Anguilla. And I hope you enjoy this episode. But again, like I say, most of you guys are looking at my content and not hitting the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button right now. Yes, you hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit the like button. So this has been part 6. Join me again for part 7. I think I'm going to start doing a video every other week, because as I'm progressing in life, more and more things are coming up, and I have this new venture, and so I have a lot to do. in the week. So it's kind of very, very tedious to do a video every week. So I think I'm going to start doing a video every other week. So look out for videos every other week. But again, if you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, you know when I post content. So thank you so much for joining me again. And this has been another episode. And I thank you so much for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this one. And look out for more from Part 7 YML.